Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us today on Polywine, where we like to take a deep dive into stories pulled from the media and have a fun time while breaking it down. I'm Jillian, and let's get into it. So, let's start off with Mother Nature, and she has been extra active these days, not only with the fires in the West, the storm sweeping across the US. There's also been a lot of seismic activity. In Alaska, about 90 miles outside of Anchorage, there has been seismic activity around Mount Spur. In recent weeks, there has been reporting of around 100 shallow earthquakes. And so scientists are just kind of keeping an eye open there. Also, if we work our way over to the Aegean, this is where the seismic activity is in overdrive. In Santorini, it is a hotbed of earthquakes and surrounding islands as well. It has been nonstop earthquake activity, according to the University of Athens, between January 26th and February 13th. That's February 13th. That was days ago. There was reporting of 18,000 around the surrounding islands. There has been evacuations. They have declared a state of emergency, but it's really scary. These islands live on tourism. So cruise ships are, of course, being diverted to other islands. I don't know how I feel even going to a different island. It's still a little too close. I mean, with earthquakes, you would think there'd be tsunami warnings. I don't know how the cruise ships evidently know what to do, but that would make me really nervous. But it's just insane. If you look at the maps, it is just red dot all over the island. You can't even see the island on the maps because there's just so many spots of where there has been earthquake activity. And it's just got to be so unsettling to people who live there, the surrounding countries, just because they've been on tsunami warnings as well. But keep your eyes open there. It is nerve-wracking, but for science, I mean, it's fascinating, but it's also scary, could definitely change the landscape of what we know of how that looks there. Greece is so gorgeous and beautiful, and it is such an idyllic, picturesque island. I hope everything is okay there. It's just sad, but just absolutely crazy. And if you want to hear some other bizarre stories, how nature's fighting back. Did you hear this story about this 19-year-old kayaker off the coast of New Zealand? Did you see this footage? This guy's kayaking and fishing, and next thing you know, of course, he's got a GoPro, and then you see this giant dorsal fin pop up behind him, and this shark is huge. And you hear the kayaker go like, "Oh my God, it's a great white! It's a great white!" And you just see this giant fin just getting closer and closer and coming in. And you can hear the panic in the guy, but I still think this guy is very calm. Very calm in this situation. And, the New Zealanders, he's got the accent. He's like, "Oh my God, he's following me. Get away from me. Don't eat me." So much cleaner and more calm than I would be in that situation. But you just see him paddling out of the way, staying calm. But this thing followed him for quite some times. And you hear the kid saying in the video, "I am about an hour away from the closest shore, any help, anything." Like, he's so far out there. This thing was massive, absolutely massive. And then when you see him in an interview afterwards, the kid was still so calm. He was like, brace yourself, I'm about ready to do a horrendous New Zealand accent. But the kid was just so calm. He was like, at first he was a little panicked by it, but of course it's just nature and you got to respect nature. And I was like, that's so nice that you have such a calm outlook and just such a respect for nature. But nature almost ate you, okay? But of course, the guy is like, I was out, later that day, back on the water. I just have such a love and respect for the water. That is amazing. It would take me some time to get back out there because, I mean, that thing was huge. It was massive. And then, did you hear this story about this Chilean kayaker that was swallowed by a humpback whale. Yes, Chilean guy and this dad were out kayaking, and the dad was filming it. He was, following behind his son. And next thing you know, up out of the water, this giant humpback whale swallows the kayaker right smack in the center of his mouth. And then a second later, you just see the kayaker come right out. And I guess the humpback whale did not like the taste of kayak or maybe even human or an oar, but just unbelievable footage. I mean, the guy was totally fine, freaked out, of course, but unharmed. But just what a remarkable video. The dad just kind of kayaks right up behind him. You all right? Just make sure he's okay. Didn't stop filming, by the way. Did not stop filming, but just unbelievable footage. What an unbelievable story to tell everybody. Just absolutely crazy. And during an interview, a local interview, when they were interviewing the guy, of course, he went to the hospital and be checked out and stuff like that. He was just saying, next thing I know, I just see kind of like this light blue thing coming up around me. And that's all I could see. I mean, how do you can't see, it's not coming from behind you, in front of you. It's coming below you. You can't escape. And just crazy. It's like nature is fighting back. Not only you have, the sharks. There was also another story about sharks just the other day with these two U.S. tourists that were bitten by sharks. You also have orcas ramming boats in Spain. We talked about that story several months ago about that Italian professional surfer who was impaled by a swordfish surfing. What is going on? Nature is fighting back. Mother Nature and just nature itself. The animals are fighting back. And so let's work our way over into the world of politics. I don't even know what to tell you when it comes to U.S. politics. I really don't. It is ever changing. Every time I see Elon Musk, the guy is giving me Howard Hughes vibes. I say it over and over and over again. And if you don't know who Howard Hughes is, Google him. The man was a genius. He was an engineer and just a mind ahead of his time, for sure. And if anybody knows their history, can we just talk about the spruce goose? Okay. Howard Hughes and the spruce goose. But I am getting so much Howard Hughes vibes out of Elon Musk. That's all I can say. Let's just keep moving on. So let's go right into the world of entertainment. Did you see the Wendy Williams doc that TMZ did the other day? You can see it. You can watch it on Tubi. It is airing now. Wendy, I really have a soft spot in my heart for Wendy Williams. I absolutely adore her. I always say she's kind of like the auntie that we all want and just want to chit chat about and share hot topics and, get some good advice from Aunt Wendy. So to see her in this state of disarray in her life it is so unfortunate and it is so sad. And once she was put into this facility, you heard nothing about Wendy. And it was really hard to watch that docuseries several months ago or last year with Wendy and to see her decline and with her substance abuse. It was very hard to watch, like painful to watch her struggle. I just kept asking myself, I don't feel like I should be seeing this. Like, this seems like this should be a family matter and nobody really wants to see Wendy that way. But if you've ever seen anyone who's suffering with substance abuse, and I think anyone can really relate to it, being a friend or a family member or a loved one, it is really hard. And I think there's some relatability that we all have about that. and to see it, we understand. But when I say it was hard, it was hard. And it's great to see that she's getting the help that she needs. But I mean, Wendy has been shut from society. The doors have been closed. And Harvey Levin from TMZ has been able to have conversations with her. She's been calling him, and she was at the window in her memory care facility, and she was looking down at one of the TMZ cameramen on the street, because that's the only way. And she was on the phone with Harvey, but looking down the street to the TMZ camera. And wow, what an interview. What a conversation. And, you know, Harvey had said in this documentary, you know, Wendy, I've had a lot of conversations with you lately. You sound like the Wendy I've always known, and the Wendy that you've always been. And you sound just like the Wendy that you were on the talk show years ago. And Charlemagne the God has said this as well, that he's had a lot of conversations with her. She also had interviews with a journalist who did a report on Nightline for Impact, and he was interviewing her as well. Wendy sounds clear. She sounds lucid. She sounds like the Wendy we all know. It's so nice to see that she is sober. She is doing well. It is just such an unfortunate thing, but I gotta tell you, she was very honest in this documentary. And that's the thing we love about Wendy Williams. She is honest. She has given us the truth, the raw truth, the hard truth. And she really hasn't held anything back. And that's why we love her. That's why everybody loves Wendy. We get it. We can relate to her. She's talked about her pain, her issues with substance abuse throughout her life. She's talked about her divorce and how awful that was. We watched that woman go through it, you know, the divorce, finding out that he moved that woman down the street from their house, and the baby. Oh yes, the ex, just dirty, and how that ripped her apart, how that just sent her into a downward spiral, how she then started, she had a lot of health issues, and then she started using again, or more, whatever the case may be. I'm not here to judge or speculate. It's just, we saw it all happen. We saw her collapse live on TV. Then she was getting a lot of treatment. Then how she broke down on air and talked about how she was in a sober house. We saw this happen in real time, and she told us about it. And then to see that documentary after she lost her show, and then you saw the substance abuse right in front of your eyes, is just heartbreaking. But to hear her now, she sounds great. She sounds like the Wendy we know. And she is fighting for her freedom now. And in this documentary, you hear her talk about how she was put into this facility and how this conservatorship happened. And I got to tell you, it was so eye-opening. Like, you've heard a lot of it coming out before along the way, how the bank kind of stepped in because they saw that there was some abuse happening with her money, and they were concerned. And so we got a little bit more into the documentary. Now, what happened? Let's kind of break it down. What had happened was, a while back, Wells Fargo, or Wendy Williams Bank, was noticing some really large transactions happen. And like all banks, if they start to see unusual and large transactions, they will reach out to you to make sure it's not fraud, there's no theft, or anything like that, right? Very standard. But these were very large purchases. So from what I understand in the documentary and a lot of the stuff that I've read, that Wells Fargo was flagging these large purchases and was reaching out to Wendy, and they could not get a hold of Wendy. So out of concern that there was abuse happening to her account, they put a block on it. They froze the account, and then asked the courts to get involved for financial reasons, right? So because they thought that there was somebody taking advantage of Wendy and taking her money. And that is a good thing. And even Wendy said, thank God they did. In this documentary, she said, thank God they did, because I had no idea that this money was just flying right out of my account. And she said in this documentary, like Harvey's like, well, what happened to the money? Do you know who was abusing the money? And she was like, it was my son. She said, and I'm not mad at him. I don't hate him for it. I felt that he was misguided. He made some poor judgment. I mean, it was large purchases. So she's like, I'm not mad at him, but thank God that the bank stepped in. But once the bank stepped in and started to ask for conservatorship with financial, then here comes the medical. There was concern about her mind frame, her cognitive state. And that's where the substance abuse and the medical issues came together, and then the conservatorship over her health stepped in. And that's where it just really got ugly. And so Harvey was even seen in the documentary that it was difficult to kind of get some of the details from the court case because it has been sealed. But he did get a little bit from they did get a little bit of the information from the court case. And it was one of the things that determined, not only was the medical evaluation one of the determined for the conservatorship, but the judge felt that Wendy kept repeating herself. And then that was a sign that backed up the medical evaluation, is that she was repeating herself and she kept saying, you know what I'm saying? And if anybody has ever watched Wendy, that's the tagline of hers. You know what I'm saying? How you doing? You know, all those things. That was Wendy's taglines. And it was just so unfortunate that one of her taglines and one of her most famous statements, you know what I'm saying, is what the judge kind of latched on, because she kept repeating that. And I can't imagine how emotional you are to be in a situation like that, to even find the words when you're just a mess. So I would think that you would repeat yourself anyway, just out of anxiety. But she was, I guess repeating, you know what I'm saying, which is very classic Wendy. And the judge kind of latched onto that, saying, well, I see that she's repeating these words. I hear it. And that kind of validates the medical evaluation was for frontal lobe dementia and aphasia. And I kind of agree with that. So therefore, this is why we are going to put this conservatorship in order. Oh, it's so sad. But to find out why she was moved to the memory unit. So this just was released as well. So I guess when Wendy first went to this care unit, she was on the common floor and there was a bar. Okay. And Wendy was served alcohol. And she ended up getting intoxicated. She was intoxicated. And when the facility discovered she was intoxicated, they went nuts. She wasn't supposed to be served alcohol. She had a substance abuse issue with alcohol. To the medical history, substance abuse was part of the issue for this diagnosis, alcohol-related dementia and aphasia. So no alcohol was supposed to be near her. Well, she was served alcohol. She became intoxicated, and everyone freaked out. So therefore, she was moved to the memory care unit where no alcohol is allowed. And she is basically in lockdown. And her description of this facility does sound like lockdown. And it does sound like it's a prison. She says it's a prison, and it sounds like a prison. She's like, I'm here with people that truly have memory issues. They don't remember their name, you name it. And I'm not that. And she's like, and I'm miserable and I want to interact with people. I need to socialize. That's how I enjoy my life. And I have none of that. I'm isolated and I feel like I'm imprisoned. It sounds like it. So she was, petitioning the courts that she wanted to be able to be released for a short period of time so she could actually go down to Florida and visit her father for his birthday celebration. Because she doesn't know really how many more birthdays she may have with him. Understandably so. She was granted time out with security detail, of course, for her security and everyone's security. And she was allowed to go to Miami and see her dad for his birthday. And if you've seen the videos of her out in the airport and out and about in Miami, that looks like our Wendy. It looks like our Wendy. She's back. She's smiling. How you doing? People are, how you doing, Wendy? And she just is eating it up and loving life. And I'm sure she's enjoying every second of being out, but it's a small taste of freedom, but it just must be so difficult to know that she has to go back when she's just had that taste. But Wendy is getting a new lawyer and she is going to go through the legal process to have another medical evaluation and to reevaluate the conservatorship. So Wendy, there is a movement, #free Wendy. We love you. And let's keep that movement going. It is so sad to see what has happened to her. And then, of course, we all know what happened to Britney Spears. So this hopefully will definitely open everyone's eyes to conservatorship. I understand that a conservatorship is to help those who truly, truly need it. I don't know how I feel about Britney. I've said that a million times. Britney's making me, Britney, I'm worried about you. I am worried about Britney. I still think she needs some type of support team around her. And I think Wendy will need a support team around her as well if this conservatorship is ever reversed. But it's definitely opened up my eyes to the world of conservatorship. And I think it's opened up everyone's eyes of the conservatorship. It's definitely, it's in place for those who truly need it, but it can also go terribly, terribly wrong. So, wow. Now, another story that just keeps coming up in the news, and that's Diddy. Diddy, it is constantly in the loop. But this time, Diddy is fighting back. Diddy's legal team has filed a $100 million lawsuit, defamation lawsuit against NBC Universal and Peacock against the documentary called The Making of a Bad Boy. I watched this documentary. It's a very good documentary, but it is a very, very damning documentary against Diddy. And there has been many documentaries about Diddy leading up to this major lawsuit against him. And it's a pretty harsh one. Now, I just want to state Diddy has declared his innocence. He's pleading not guilty. Everybody deserves their time in court, innocent until proven guilty. Again, he has declared his innocence. Some of the stories in there are a little shocking, and there are a lot of interviews, a lot of people in this documentary. It is a good documentary. Let's see where that goes. I don't know. We shall see. But Diddy, every day, there is something new. There is something new. But we're still waiting for that court case, and this should happen in the spring. Now, let's get over. It is time. It is time to discuss Bravo. It is Bravo time, everyone, and I love it. Let's go to Below Deck Down Under. Yes, Captain Jason, gorgeous Captain Jason is back with a relatively new crew. We do have two returning crew members. We have Chef Zarina and Harry. Now, Zarina last year was the kind of the kooky crazy chef that we all love, that really rose to the occasion with that whole situation with Margot, right? Remember last year, Below Deck Down Under, Aisha was the chief stew. There was that one lurky, creepy deckhand or bosun, was his name, Luke, and he got really gross and really crossed boundaries with Margot. And Aisha was all over it. She felt it was inappropriate. She went to Captain Jason. Captain Jason shut it down, kicked him off, got him off the boat. And everyone was just amazing to Margot. Zarina really shined at that moment, coming to protect Margot, be there for her in just such a vulnerable moment. Great. So I'm glad to see Zarina back this season. Harry, who had the biggest crush on Margot last year, and everybody loved Harry. He's just adorable, sweet, kind of geeky kind of guy, just so cute. And he's back, and happy to see him back again. But most of the crew all knew the boat, huge, awesome. As I saw it, I immediately felt for the stews because I'm like, oh my God, that's a lot of running and a lot of work. And it is, and they'll get into that. New chief stew, new stew crew, new bosuns other than Harry, and Zarina gets a sous chef this year, and she needs it. She needs it. That galley is massive. So we do hear Captain Jason talk about last season with Serena. So she had, a little bit, some hiccups and hangups. And so he thought it would be best to bring in a sous chef. And it is a great idea. Unfortunately, the sous chef is an ass and very egotistical and so dismissive of her. And it's just, oil and water from the get-go. He's just rude and an asshole to her. And Zarina, who can be slightly hot-tempered, I think, tends to handle him very, very well. And she even says in one little cameo, she's like, look, when I was I was an egotistical, arrogant chef as well. And I thought I was the greatest and I thought I was the best. And I was humbled and put in my place quite quickly by a head chef. And she's like, it is a slow, steady climb to be a head chef. And we all have to learn the hard way. And I kind of get where he is. She's like, but don't come to me with this shit. You got to earn your place. Fair enough, Serena. Fair enough. And this guy, asshole. And you'll see later in the first few episodes, it's not going to go so well for him. But I don't know how I'm feeling about this crew. Like this, I feel like there is going to be some major issues with the crew. I already see cracks with the stews, deck crew, I should say. All seem to be getting along right now. That's not going to go over well. We have a new girl that's on the crew, Adana. Then we have Wihan and Johnny, who's the Greek guy. We have Zarina, Hera, Laura is the new sous chef. Brianna is young, and she is the model that, of course, Harry's got to go for. Everybody loves Brianna, the model. And then you have the girl who's Brazilian. I really like it. Marina, I like her as well. She's cute. The very green crew. It's interesting to always see everybody starts to fight for the cute girl right away on the boat. Does anybody remember, was it Gail last season? Gail, she was super cute, but God, she was so boring. So Brianna, I hope you are not boring like Gail. First couple charters that come in, it is a crash course on getting to know the boat, getting to know each other. The food, oh my God. Like, I feel so bad for the head stew, Laura. Timing and trying to get that food up several flights of stairs, that is not easy. And still get hot food on the table, that is not easy. That is oh my God. And not only each meal and each plate that comes out, some cool faster than the others. That's tough. That's a lot of sprinting. Your legs are going to be unbelievably shape by the end of the season, but that is a tough ask, and you can already see her breaking down. Like, she's already had a few breakdowns. So I think we only had like 2 episodes. This girl has been crying in her cabin way too much. So if you think this is going to go well, it is so not. It is so not. There's just, it's happening too soon. Two green of the crew, Zarina and Laura have worked together in the past, and you see Laura talk about it. She's like, I really like Zarina because now they're bunking together. They're in the same cabin together. And she said, I've worked with the Zarina before and I like her, but sometimes she can create a little bit of mess, and I don't know if I want to be a part of that, but I think we can make it work. And anytime on any of these shows where anyone's ever said, I think we can make it work, never does. It never does. So let's see where this goes, right? So I am enjoying Below Deck Down Under so far, but I always love that they're going, snorkeling, and they always have the coolest toys. And sure enough, I already told you the deck crew's a little shaky. The Stu's a little shaky, already an injury. I thought in this past episode, that Harry's thumb was cut right off by one of the straps as they were lifting up one of the jet skis, but it was just his thumbnail. It looks really, really nasty. So, I mean, if this is already happening so early in charter and they've already lost the other guy on the jet ski, the Greek guy on the jet ski, Johnny, who I think is adorable. Yeah, it's not looking good. Not looking good. And Captain Jason, who I really like and is really trying to keep it together, I think you've got your hands full in this one. And then let's go back to the sous chef, right? Anthony, what a douche. So he comes to Zarina this past episode, who's just been fighting and just antagonistic and just so disrespectful to her. And Captain Jason actually overhears him being quite a jerk to Zarina. And Zarina's really chill in this whole interaction. And I'm glad Captain Jason observed it at this moment, because she was like, look, I am going to prep for the menu, get everything ready, and I got to do a little computer work on that. So do you mind doing some of the crew while I'm doing that? So you need any help, any questions, come and get me. And it might be really nice if I could maybe go down for a few minutes, because, that it's got to be such an exhausting job to be a chef on a ship like this. It's constant working. He starts giving her shits like, well, I feel like all you're giving me are just really the kind of the shitty jobs. And that's not what I'm here for. Actually, that is what you're there for. You're man number 2, not number 1. So you are the backup, not the head. And Zarina's like really calm about it, going, well, I'm happy to help you with this, but I really need to get this done because this is what we need to do, prepare for the guests. And he's just like giving her shit. So I'm really glad Captain Jason observed that situation. So a little time goes by. Zarina's in the galley prepping the food. And you see off to the side that the sous chef's like texting some other dude. And he was like, dude, if you want, whoever he's texting, he's like, look, if you want the job is yours. And he's like, confirmed, done. I'll finish up like the next charter or 2 and I'm out of here. And takes another job. And he goes to Zarina like a second after sending the text, like, sure, I'll take it. Hey, just want to let you know, don't really think this is working out. So I'll finish up this charter, maybe the next one, and then I'm out of here. And she's like, well, okay. I don't want you to be here if you're not happy, but did you discuss this with Captain Jason? Because it's kind of a big deal. And he has to find a replacement. That's up to him, not me. So did you communicate this to him? He's like, no, not yet. And you just see Zarina like put down her utensils and right up to Captain Jason, as she should have, because that was such a dick move at every turn. So she's like, hey, Captain Jason, just want to let you know, because she's already had, expressed to Jason that he was kind of difficult. And Jason didn't even let it, say to her, like, I've kind of witnessed some of this myself. He just, let Zarina state her case. And he's like, okay, well, I'm going to let you work it out and just let me know if at any point if I need to get involved. Well, Zarina goes right up to the Captain Jason. She's like, I just want to let you know that Anthony just came up to me and said he was leaving in the next charter, possibly two, but he's out of here. He's already taken another job. And Captain Jason's like, oh no, that's not how we do things here. So you just see towards the end of the episode, Captain Jason, that guy, goes down to the galley with Zarina, and he's like, hi, I was just informed that you're leaving, and yeah, that's not how we do things here. You just don't tell us you're on your way out. There's a process, and you completely bypass that and went above my head. So for that level of disrespect, you can pack up your things and leave now. Or to quote Top Chef, pack up your knives and go. So bye, Anthony. I hope Zarina gets somebody nice. Careful, Zarina. She's a frisky little cat. So, she loves the men. So careful if there's another guy coming on board. But I hope Zarina gets somebody patient and willing to work for her, because wow, everything can go so wrong if you do not have a decent chef. And boy, have we seen that happen before. Now, let's go over to the Real Housewives of Potomac. Let's go to the Real Housewives of Potomac. This past week, we had episode 1 of the reunion. What did you think? Well, everybody looked nice. I did like everybody in white. They all looked beautiful, very beautiful. Can we just start off on how the episode started? Okay. Boom. Right into footage of Karen's DUI. Okay. And to say unflattering would be putting it very gentle and very mild. Can we just say that? It was so unflattering. And these were very short clips. Karen. Wow. I try not to watch a lot of the police cam footage of Karen because that's just hard. But they just put it out there. You just see a clip here, a clip there of Karen being arrested, talking to the cop, saying, I probably should have taken an Uber. And the cop was like, yeah, you probably should have. You see Karen in the slow spiral of, do you know who I am? To, I should have taken an Uber, to, I might be in trouble. And you can see the progression of Karen's hair, her wig sliding back on her head. Like, it just is it's so bad. And she's just slurring, and she's just, her eye, it's not even open. It is so bad. And that is how we start off the reunion. Police cam footage, boom, you get the feel of what happened, what went down with the Grand Dame. So that's how we start. Then we get to everybody joining at the reunion in their dressing rooms, getting makeup done, everything, dresses, and everybody's walking onto the set. And the set is the big vacation in Panama. And again, everyone looked beautiful in white. Who was the favorite dress? Let's see. Kierna had a beautiful dress. Giselle looked nice. Ashley had a very pretty dress as well. I think I like Stacy's. Wendy's, yours looked beautiful. Had a very, structured top. I think I may have liked Stacy's dress. Very beautiful. I did not like Stacy's hair. I definitely did not like Stacy's makeup. I don't know what it is. It was too shimmery at the top, too heavy eyes. I don't know. I thought her hair was just too heavy with such a gorgeous dress. I think she should have had her hair back maybe maybe in an updo. She still looked beautiful. I mean, the girl is just stunning. She looked beautiful. But, you know, Stacey. But that's, of course, we got to talk about the outfits. It's the reunion. Everybody looked beautiful. Andy, of course, looked nice. But we get right into the elephant in the room. Who's not there? The Grand Dame. Well, we talk about it. The Grand Dame's not there because she has checked herself into a treatment facility. And therefore, Karen sends in a recorded video. And she looked great in this recorded video. But I got to tell you, it looked more like an acceptance speech. Giselle, darling, I just want to thank you. You know, Karen, you've been a trooper. You know, Candace, even though she's not a cast on this season, she's been a soldier. Andy Cohen, your text messages were on time and everything. I mean, she looked great, but was she accepting an award? What was happening? But then she said, when I come back, I'll only be coming back as Karen Huger because that is enough because I no longer need the Grand Dame. And she talked about about the whole Grand Dame thing while she was shit-faced in the police car. She was like, you know, they call me the Grand Dame, and I don't know why. Andy Cohen came up with that. And Andy Cohen's like, I just want to state for the record, I did not come up with the Grand Dame and Grand Dame. And it was funny because Giselle's like, yes, I did. I coined it. And they kind of have a clip where they go back with that. So, I mean, this started right away with the whole mess with Karen Huger. And it was kind of funny. Like Ashley was like, I had a feeling Karen wouldn't be here today. So I brought a picture of Karen so she can be here with us today on the couch. That was kind of funny. We talked about a little bit of Giselle's new look with the nails. We got a little bit into Kierna, and Jazzy came out for like a second. Talked about Wendy's 40th birthday again. But then we talk about, yes, let's get into the birthdays. So Mia had a birthday and invited Stacey and Jazzy to go and celebrate her birthday in Miami together. Well, I guess Jazzy and Stacey do go to celebrate Mia's birthday. Well, Mia does a no-call, no-show and just left him at the restaurant, never got a hold of him, never reached out to him till after. She just left him hanging, and that is bold and just bitchy. Mia, you keep making yourself look worse and worse this season with the whole fiasco with Gordon and Ink, to throw in your kids in the mix on TVs. It is really hard to kind of keep up with your pile of lies. It is so hard. And then you throw this, how you just leave the new girls. I mean, they're trying to be nice to you, Mia. You don't have a lot of friends on those couches. So why would you do that to the new people that are showing up for you? Right? You didn't invite anybody else for your birthday. You invited them because you knew they would probably show up, and they did. And then you blow them off. Mia. Bad move. Mia, what are you doing? Mia, you're a mess. But I'm just so glad we didn't have to see Jacqueline this episode. I really am. But Jazzy did come off for like a hot second. Like she was just boom, there only for a minute. And the viewer questions, they had no mercy. Who was the one woman who wrote? And she was like, Jazzy, nice to meet you this season, but sounds like you were the side piece chick with your fiance, and you were the home wrecker and broke up a relationship. Is this true? And Jazzy's like, just to make it clear for everyone, I was not this side piece. And you could see everybody on the cast like, And Mia, who was very upfront of being the other chick with Gordon, was like, yeah, it doesn't add up. Because everybody's really questioned the timeline. When she was explaining on that girl's getaway how she met her fiance who's the NFL player who used to play for Kansas City, now plays for Dallas Cowboys. You know, that whole timeline, how they met and how he has kids with another woman and they're young. It was questionable. Like there was a pregnancy and a birth and they were dating. I don't know. It's weird. Is it sketchy? Super, super, super sketchy. Everyone was questioning it, but the woman who wrote it was like, Jazzy, or were you the side piece? Because it sounds like you're the side piece and you're also a home wrecker. Is that true? And just to see all the other woman's reaction, like, oop, oopsie, kind of sounds like it might be. I'm not here to judge, but if you're going to put it out there, Jazzy, you know, you're going to get some flack back. And then she also has to bring out, you know, the invitation to the wedding. That's still months away. Let's just see if that wedding goes through. Any of those wags, the girlfriends, any of the fiancés, any girlfriend of a professional athlete, until you walk down that aisle and that marriage certificate is signed, just be cautious. It could fall apart just like that. So they still have a few months to walk down the aisle. So let's just see if it actually happens, right? But of course, Jazzy shows the invitation to Andy Cohen and, you know, tells everyone, of course they're invited. Of course they're invited. But Jazzy, was that really your only storyline? Was your way in through your professional athlete boyfriend? If so, I think it missed the mark. We've already had those. There's pretty much one on every franchise, every season. There's nothing new here. And I just thought you were very boring and your story just fell super flat, super flat. And I don't really think the girls were really into it. I think they liked you, but I don't think it into it. So I don't know if Jazzy's going to come back for the next season. I don't know if Kieran is going to come back. I thought Kieran was so boring. So boring. Greg just wasn't enough of a relationship draw in. Your story itself wasn't interesting. The fact that you refused to talk about the whole situation, what kind of brought you back this season, which was the fight from the previous season and the scar. I understand it's a lawsuit, so there's only you can't really discuss it, but then what are you going to talk about? Because you really brought nothing else. So I am just curious because Karen's sentencing, and when she's like, I'm going to come back as Karen Huger, did you notice Andy Cohen just saying like, because, you know, if we walk down memory lane, the only person I think that's come back after a prison sentence was Teresa, right? We have Teresa. Well, Jen Shaw, although her sentence keeps getting dropped, you know, she's not going to come back. She pled guilty. She's not coming back. Andy was very clear about that. Could she come back? I mean, I don't know. She hasn't had her sentence yet, but she was found guilty. So will Karen come back after it? I don't know. Will she get promotion? Will she get time served? It is her second offense. This is interesting because Andy was just a little kind of stoic. So I don't know. It was a decent start for the reunion season 1. Giselle, I want to hear more about your new story of your new chapter in your life where you're dating. And there is a new dating show that's going to be coming out on Bravo and Peacock that's going to have Giselle, Ashley, was it Dorinda and Luann? So I cannot wait for that. That's going to be coming out soon. It's going to be so good. What is that called? Love Hotel. That's going to be really good. But I am bummed there is no Lady Morgan. And thank you so much for joining us on Polywine today. It has been a pleasure spending some time with you. Please join us on Instagram at Polywine Time. Follow us on YouTube, Spotify, iTunes, wherever you get your feed. Thanks so much and catch you next time. Bye.